Come on, we better get over there.
What about your enemy?
Oh, right. Dude, as soon as you finish your drink, turn yourself in.
Got me again, Flash.
Hey, hello, how do you do? Shady Doorags here. After my Justice League Christmas video, everyone demanded that I make another one and that this one be about Flash and his museum. One guy even called me up and told me he was holding my cat hostage and wouldn't let him go until I reviewed that specific episode. Now, I don't own a cat, but I'll be a turtleneck sweater before I let any harm come to one. This one's for you, Mr. Fluffy Bottom. Today we're looking at the episode Flash and Substance. This time the episode comes from Justice League Unlimited, which is a series that comes after Justice League the Animated Series, so we're gonna need a bit more context. In the final episode of Justice League the Animated Series, Hawkgirl resigns from the League for reasons. After that, the remaining members ask themselves, why stop at 6? And then they created an army. Well, to be specific, they invited superheroes from around the world to become part of the Justice League, keeping the original 6 as senior members. And there's a bit more lore that's somewhat relevant to this episode, but it'll make more sense if I explain it at the time it comes up. The episode starts with some villains on their way to a bar. Yep, how it should have ended did not invent super beings going to a bar on the regular. Shoot, they weren't even the first YouTubers to do it.
Tony, I'm driving you home. Tony, come on, get up.
I want some Cocoa Puffs.
We get a shot of a plethora of super baddies, and I'm guessing these guys are all from the series or the comics, but I'm not gonna lie, I barely recognize any of them. Shoot, for all I know, these dudes were all just invented out of the ether specifically for this scene. I may pride myself on being a superhero geek back in the day, but let's be real. No one knows everything about comics or superheroes. Still, I do recognize the Weather Wizard, which is a good clue of what this episode is going to be about since Flash and Superman defeated him way back in the day. The scene focuses on 3 villains in particular: Mirror Master, Captain Cold, and the Trickster. The men are complaining about a lack of work when a 4th villain arrives.
Captain Boomerang, you old son of a wallaby.
I cut me a good deal. Got my sentence down to 5 years.
This is the lore I was talking about earlier. In a previous episode, Captain Boomerang joined what was essentially this universe's Suicide Squad, they call it Task Force X here, to help Amanda Waller steal from the Justice League.
You sign up for missions like this for 5 years. If you survive, then you go free.
Got my sentence down to 5 years.
This little detail helps answer a question I constantly see. That is, why does the justice system in DC let so many villains live when they range from terrorists to mass murderers? I mean, obviously the meta reason is because DC wants to sell more comics, but one of the in-universe reasons is because there are powerful people who use their influences to keep certain criminals alive in case they're needed for something. Anyway, the 4 villains begin to complain about how, despite being great at their quote-unquote jobs, they're all still failures thanks to the Flash.
The hardest men in town, and we all have something in common. We'd all be living like kings if it weren't for the Flash.
I'm gonna go ahead and press a big ol' X to doubt. Sure, the Flash stopped every single one of you, but that's because you operate in or near Central City. Do you honestly think that in a world full of superheroes, someone else wouldn't have done something had the Flash not shown up? The Flash's rogues decide that since they've had it with him messing up their plans, they're each gonna try to ambush him during the biggest day of his life. And then we get the theme. This opening is trying to do something slightly different than its predecessor. Justice League presented an atmosphere that something legendary was about to begin. Unlimited goes for the approach that something legendary is already happening and you're about to be thrust into it. As the music plays, we get various clips from the show showing heroes doing their thing. Some of the clips would always be from the current episode, trying to hype up the viewer for what's to come. These clips played in between still images of the original 7, representing that all these heroic and triumphant moments are inspired by those original heroes' examples. Now, there are some who would say that this is better than the original. I'm not one of those people. While there can be times where I like it when clips from the show are used in the opener, I'm always going to prefer original animation, and there isn't much of that here. The still images were a good idea, but they're not as effective as the imagery and silhouettes in the show's predecessor. I do, however, love the opening shot and the closing shot of all the heroes, probably because the silhouettes present a similar atmosphere of legends that the first opener was trying to convey. The episode continues and we see Wally West at his day job.
Couldn't type it because it was cleaned off with dish soap, but we went one better. Turns out the soap is the same brand as the one in the victim's kitchen.
I know I just said I don't know everything about comics, but why is Wally working at a forensics lab? Last I checked, that was Barry's job. I mean, this is a separate canon, so it's not like Wally absolutely can't have this job, but I just find it weird. Like, it doesn't really fit his personality. Meh, it was probably just done to pay homage to Barry, and I'm being pedantic about it. Wally heads to the Watchtower, hoping to catch another one of the original 7. The only one available is Batman. Do I even need to mention the legend who plays him? The voice literally speaks for itself.
Why are you here?
Oh, right. 'Cause it's Flash Appreciation Day? Be great if one of the original 7 made it.
What time?
6 o'clock. You're a stand-up guy, Bats. Don't ever let them call you a crazed loner.
Little did Flash know that Batman calls himself that. The others are just respecting his personal image. Orion, who overheard the conversation, decides to chime in.
I can't believe you let that buffoon manipulate you.
Ron Perlman! It is Ron Perlman, right? That's not Keith David? Yeah, okay. Ron Perlman!
You'd never see me at one of these museum openings. It's not black tie, is it?
I would like to remind everyone that Orion is a new god as well as the son of Darkseid, and yet Batman, with just a look, was able to intimidate him. Back in Central City, we see the Flash getting the love he deserves, while also seeing why.
Erlene, that bursitis any better?
I'll say, you really know your limit.
Like I said in the last Justice League video, Wally doesn't just save these people's lives. I mean, obviously that in of itself is a big deal, but he also cares about them on an individual level. Hero or not, people want to be his friend and he enjoys being theirs. On his way to wherever he's going, Wally hears someone calling out for help. Superhero's got a superhero and Wally goes to see what's up.
It's dark and I'm scared.
What's wrong, sweetie? You lost? Come on, I'll take you. Hey!
Yes, it's a cliche, but I nonetheless love when a villain uses a hero's good nature to catch them in a trap. And this is your 920th reminder that I like heroes who are good people and I miss them. All this turns out to be Mirror Master's trap.
Mirror Master.
You're quick as ever.
Yeah? Well, you're not really all there.
Ah, Flash, you almost had that. The diction was good, just the delivery was off. Mirror Master's trap has Wally running away from lasers as he monologues. Unfortunately for him, his opponent is the Flash, who is very good at running. Eventually, Wally figures out the trap's weakness and manages to shut it down.
Why not take some time and reflect on your mistakes? Hey, that was pretty good.
He's just like me for real. With that done, Wally heads to a Flash Appreciation Day event to receive the key to the city.
You've all been so great to me over the years. Hope I always make you guys proud. That's all.
And I love you, random citizen.
Actually, that clip is very relevant to this episode. The whole point of that joke is to show that the citizens of Metrocity have a parasocial relationship with Metro Man, the opposite of what the Flash has. Metro Man calls his fan Random Citizen, while Wally knows his by name.
Hey, Mrs. Green, I didn't forget about painting your fence Saturday. Once I get started, it won't take very long.
When a celebrity calls people by a generic title instead of their name, it's a sure sign that they might care about them as fans, but not as individuals. You intellectuals be sure to keep an eye out for things like that.
Oh, don't tell me. Boomerangs! That should do it. Duh.
I always loved that joke. Wally is able to stave off the attack, only to get hit by a much bigger boomerang. Everyone and their mom figures out who's behind this, but still, Captain Boomerang felt the need to make himself known.
Mirror Master wasn't up to the task. Now it's my shot.
Unfortunately for the captain, Flash is still able to move, which means he's still a threat. Wally punches through the boomer plane and crash lands right next to Batman and Orion. Can't tell if humongous coincidence or if Batman was waiting here because he somehow knew this was going to happen. Batman explains that off camera, he figured out 4 supervillains are likely to attack Flash, so he arrived early because he's concerned. Wally, however, just brushes it off.
I need to go home and change before the opening tonight.
We're coming with you.
You really don't have to.
We're coming.
I have decided that Batman sees Wally as a younger brother, and while he knows Wally can handle himself, he's just being overprotective. That is my headcanon, and there's nothing you can do to change it. Meanwhile, the villains are not too happy about their failures.
That stunt cost me a fortune.
Boomer, must you always plead poverty?
Bruh, the first line that came out of you this episode was you pleading poverty.
Gentlemen, we live in brutal times. Last week, to make ends meet, I was reduced to hijacking a tractor trailer full of sports cars.
Next up is the Trickster, and he gets excited for what he has planned.
Firstly,
I get 400 cases of fake dog vomit.
Okay, I like where this is going.
And when the Flash runs into them, the whole mess slides into a wall of metal spikes. And then everything explodes!
You know what? Taking turns is dumb. Let's just all jump him at the museum.
Brilliant.
Good deal.
Well, if that's the way you're gonna be, forget about it. I quit.
Wait, what? No! I want to see the Trickster's plan! As the villains plan things out, Team Flash heads to Wally's place to pick up a new costume for him. Pay attention, they're revealing important details here.
This is where you live?
Isn't it great? Low maintenance fees, and there's a laundry room on the same floor.
I don't know about those maintenance fees. I would prefer those to be included in the rent, but I am digging the same floor washroom deal. I've lived in too many places where my washroom setup was not ideal.
The way you talk, I would have thought your Central City had built you a palace.
You get a big burst of flavor from everybody.
Woohoo! Superhero rings, the best superhero collectible of them all. Batman insists that Wally start taking things seriously, but the Flash still isn't worried.
Look, I'll just round them all up tomorrow. They all hang out at this little hole in the wall on 4th Street.
Flash, your mistake was telling the symbol of your Batman and the Ready for War Orion that this plan would happen tomorrow. Later, at the aforementioned hole in the wall, that is the correct response.
Heck with all of them. I'm an artist. They're just robbing banks.
If this seems eerily familiar, that's probably because that's Mark Hamill voicing the Trickster. Dude can't help himself. He just has to play joke-themed supervillains that get interrogated by Kevin Conroy's Batman.
Captain Cold, Captain Boomerang. Probably would have gone for it if I was a captain.
Ah yes, making fun of superhero cliches. Back before the MCU ran this joke into the ground.
Gotcha! It's a snot gun.
Ha, I get it.
Talk while you still have a jaw.
Hey! Would you guys please take it down a notch?
All right, here we go. This is the Flash's most iconic moment throughout the entire show. Most people, when they think of this version of the Flash, think of this scene.
James, you're off your meds, aren't you?
I'm better off without him. Take him if I start feeling down.
You're not well.
I'm fine. You want to throw some darts?
Here's the deal, buddy. Tell me where those guys went, and I promise to come see you in the hospital. We'll play darts.
Okay. They're gonna ambush you at the Flash Museum.
See? That's all we needed.
Instead of beating him up, Wally talks to the Trickster because to Wally, the Trickster is just another person who needs help. Now I know some of you are probably groaning because it's a pipe dream to believe that all criminals are just misunderstood sad stories that would change if you simply gave them a chance. However, Justice League doesn't treat all criminals this way. The Flash isn't going to try to talk to Mirror Master or Captain Cold, he's gonna beat them up. Shoot, there are episodes where when interrogating, the Flash manages to be just as threatening as Batman. But this one guy doesn't need that. He just needs a friend to play darts with, and the Flash can see that. Of course, other heroes have moments like this as well. The Shira Grundy thing, Wonder Woman defending her friend from accusations, the absolute tearjerker with Batman and Ace, because all the heroes in this show, deep down, are very human. But what sticks out about the Flash is that you don't have to look deep down to find his humanity. Sure, he's a goofball who doesn't always take things as seriously as he should, but the Flash is always wearing his humanity on his sleeve. That's why everyone loves him. And I'm not just talking about the people of Central City. Later at the museum opening, so many references. While Flash does his thing on the inside, Orion and Batman do their thing on the outside, and I'm sorry, no. The opening of the Flash Museum on Flash Appreciation Day in Central City would be way more packed than that.
All clear on my end. And I've removed every mirrored surface in the entire museum.
Must be awkward looking bathrooms.
Central City builds statues to this fool who concerns himself with pitiful men like the Trickster. I don't understand.
No, you don't.
I mean, all the original 7 get it, but it really means something to have Batman be the one to show appreciation to what Flash brings to the world.
When we come back, I'll try to get with him. Get to him for an interview. I'm going live again in about 50 seconds. Can I get a few words from you then? And, here. Thanks.
30 seconds, Linda.
Wait, hold up, stop. What was that name?
30 seconds, Linda. Linda.
All these years. How did I never notice that? As Linda goes to touch up her makeup, she opens a compact mirror, allowing the remaining villains to make their move. Hearing the commotion, Batman and Orion head in to help. Is that all it takes to bring down Orion's ride? I thought that they could fly through space. As you'd expect, a lot of superhero shenanigans happen. Eventually, Linda finds herself into trouble, and the Flash, with no hesitation because he's a hero, dives in after her.
There are millions and millions of mirrors. We're trapped in another dimension.
We have to try them one at a time? That could take years, even for you.
This Flash? Yes. For comic book Wally, this isn't even a challenge.
And that's a Flash fact.
Back at the fight.
Let's make sure this one don't get up again.
Geez, Orion really sucking this episode. Hey, new god on the block. You maybe want to do something useful? The good news for the Rogues is they've only got one more superhero to put down. The bad news is, well...
Missed me.
I love this face so much. It's as if Batman's thinking, did you really think I'd shoot a gun at someone? The flare Batman shot makes its way to the mirror dimension, allowing Flash to find his escape route and even the odds. With their second win, Team Flash pull out a victory and capture all the bad guys. Hey look, it's the Weather Wizard again. Later, we see the Flash giving his interview.
Flash, what about the new museum? It got destroyed in the battle, and it was our biggest shrine to you.
Well, at least I got to be on TV, and you know how much I like that.
Now I understand. You play the fool to hide a warrior's pain.
Honestly, that's what I originally thought the lesson was too. I'm a sucker for paragons who suffer in silence, and I thought the episode was trying to say that the Flash fit into this category. That deep down, this stuff was eating away at him, but he puts a smile on so no one would notice. But no, like I said before, with the Flash, you don't need to look deep down.
The bad guys went down and nobody got hurt. You know what I call that? A really good day.
Him calling people by name, boasting about an apartment as if it's a castle, helping out anyone he can, including those who call themselves his enemy. Wally West isn't perfect, but the simple things are what matter to him. And it's that reason that so many people love the Flash. This has been Shady Doorags. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.